Well, hello and welcome to Hanging with the Elderlies. I am Felicia, and this is my husband and my partner in caregiving, Robert.
Hello, everyone.
And today we are going to talk about caregiving. I know some of you watch this channel, you subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much. The response has just been amazing. If you haven't subscribed, please click on the link and subscribe to the channel. But Hanging with the Elderlies is infotainment. I provide resources, we provide resources, information, tips for caregiving, and we also share personal stories, testimonials, the joy and the pain of caregiving. For those of you who follow us regularly, you know that we're caregivers for both of my parents. My father is 72 with Parkinson's, and my mother is 70 years old, and she has a host of chronic conditions: diabetes, sleep apnea, stage 3 kidney disease, etc. And so we have been caregivers for nearly 3 years. Can you believe it has been almost 3 years, and it has been a challenge to say the least. But my husband and I were just talking today, and I said, you know, some people think that this is sort of this choice that we made, when really, as much as there are times when I'm feeling down, there are times when I complain, it really wasn't exactly a choice. It's sort of, if you look at all the options, it was really the only viable option for us. And so I was sort of complaining, going on a rant with my husband in the car, which I sometimes do. And we're about to go grocery shopping. It's Sunday, so we want to get prepared for the week and all of that.
Right.
And as we were talking, he said, you know what, we need to go ahead and record. So we stopped that conversation and we decided to share it with you, because I wanted to give you an intimate glimpse into what caregiving really looks like from a couple's perspective. My husband loves my parents, cares for my parents, and will give the world for my parents, just like they are his natural born parents, not in-laws, but his own parents. And they love him like a son. And so that's what we're going to talk about. I said I like to give you some raw, authentic. Sometimes I know you see the videos of my mom and she's funny. My dad has jokes, and we post those types of things on our Facebook page, which is at Hanging with the Elderlies on Facebook. Follow us on that page. But today we are really just going to kind of let you know where we are in our headspace with caregiving. What I'm particularly looking at talking about today, and the question or the topic that I posed to my husband is, how often should we require a break from caregiving? Like, how much is too often? And that's because as we were about to go out to go grocery shopping, we went to church this morning. We got up, got out the house, got my parents out the house, went to church, came back home, prepared them lunch and all of that. And I'm like, we're going grocery shopping, but I just wanted to get out of the house. I needed a break to decompress from the morning. But there are times when I feel guilty about that. And so that's, again, what I share with my husband. I said, you know, I just want to get out. I know we need to go grocery shopping, but my first priority was just to get out the house. I needed to get away, and I feel guilty about needing to get away. Like, my husband and I just went out and we had a fabulous night out on Friday. We went out to dinner, we went to see a concert, we had an amazing time. So we just had a break. Is it time for me to get a break already? Or is that too much? Am I being selfish? And so I feel guilty because I need a break. And I was going to talk to him and say, you know, some kind of way we have to find a break. I have to have a daily break. You know, it may not always be going out to dinner and going to a concert and all of that, but in the same, I have to begin to look at caregiving as my ministry, my job, however I need to look at it. So in the same way that we don't take a vacation day at work and then come back in on that Monday and just work straight through without taking another lunch break or 15-minute break because we just had a vacation day, we still take breaks. And so I thank God for that revelation. And so I have to find time for breaks, right?
Right.
So that's kind of where we are. And I think I answered my question, because it just feels like for me, and this is a shift for me. For those of you who don't know me, I was working full time and caring for my parents. And so for about 2 months now, I have been full-time caring for my parents. Not working full-time, but caring for my parents. I do have a business through His Eyes LLC. I'm a speaker, a coach, and a consultant. But my parents have been my focus, my primary focus for the past 2 months. In fact, I've been neglecting my business and not doing things that I need to do with my business because I needed to get everything in order with them. And so it feels like kind of 24/7, I'm doing things for them. That's the other thing we talked about in the car too. And then I'm going to be quiet and let you talk a little bit. But we talked about like how I didn't realize at this age, I'm 43, I get so accustomed to routines and I find comfort in routines. Yesterday, after having traveled for the previous 2 weeks, I was out of town. I came home, and on Saturday, I got back to my regular routine. I got up on Saturday morning, I rode my bike to the gym, I took my boot camp class, and then I rode my bike home. And you just have no idea how amazing it felt just to be following my normal routine. And that's when it hit me that I really like routines. But with caregiving, it just changes. There's no, you try to get on different routines, you try to get your groove and the flow, but it just changes. And so I think that going into this next week, I'm a little overwhelmed because I have 3 major appointments. My father's having a colonoscopy, he has to prepare for that. He's having a stomach exam, and he has a follow-up appointment with his doctor. On top of that, he now has a weekly appointment with a speech therapist, and he has an appointment with a physical therapist twice a week, and he's supposed to now do these exercises that the physical therapist gave him 3 times a day. That's a lot. I'm still trying to figure out how to get through the regular day-to-day stuff and then carve out time to work on my business and to prepare for the next time I have to travel for business. And now all these other things have been added on. And so it's overwhelming. And so that's what we were talking about. And I said, I need to figure this out. So do you have any thoughts? You have nothing?
Just really trying to support the whole entire situation because, like you say, people don't understand going through this whole process is just really sometimes overwhelming because they're unpredictable for one, and then you don't know what changes are going to take place. So
right.
You have to always be ready. And any plans that we have, we can't always go with them. Part of like what the message we heard today
in church today, absolutely.
About, you may have plans,
but your plans never work out.
Right. So that's one of the things you have to take under consideration when you're doing caregiving, because it's a job.
So you said being
More
flexible, just knowing that things are always going to change.
Yes, definitely.
Things always change. So what can we do about, how do you feel about like the getting away time, carving out that time? Like I feel like now that I'm at home, and I mind you guys, my husband for 2 years, now we didn't live together, we didn't live with my parents, but for the past 2 years, my husband was not working full time. My husband was caring for my parents, but my parents still lived in a separate place.
Right.
So they were in their own apartment, and my husband and I lived in our own home, and we were just providing the care, but I was working full time, so my husband was the primary person. Now things have shifted. He's working full time. I'm at home full time caregiving, but now my parents are actually in my house. But you have some experience with that. How do you, what thoughts do you have to like the need to have a break? Like how often do you feel like you need a break?
Well, I think during the time that I was doing it, I was able to do my breaks because I would go in and get the things that they needed, and, talk to them, find out, make sure the medicine and everything is okay, keep up with appointments and stuff like that. But it's a different dynamic now because they're with us now. They're in the house together.
All day.
So it's I know that's
every day.
That's an experience I haven't even had yet. So I can honestly say that I can't really speak on saying that the dynamics of it is the same, because it's not, because you get to see them all the time, so you have to like carve out a spot where you want to just go away. You can go up in the room and just be away, either just get out the house, like you say, you go to the gym, and you have to do that. And
that's
more
just
so
like
because
30
you're
minutes
around them, but you're around them more.
No, but I'm saying that that's not enough. Like that was enough when they weren't living with me. It was like, okay, gym time is my time. I encourage all of you caregivers, if you can. I know some caregivers, you are with someone that is homebound, someone that is bound to a bed, that you have to lift up and move. You can't leave them alone and all of that. But if you are still in a situation where you can get out and you can leave your loved one at home for periods of time, I encourage you to get out the house, go take a walk, ride a bike, go to the store, go work out. I work out. And my 5 a.m. workout is just, it's amazing, but like that's it.
That's
so there are times
your peace
when
time.
it is.
Yeah, that's like your time when you have peace because you know what your day is going to entail. So, well, somewhat, because you know everything is going to take place, but that's the only little time, a little break that you have, because you said once you set up things for breakfast, and then next thing you know, you're trying to do clothes and other things around the
Cleaning
house.
up behind them. So my parents used to go to a senior center, and we're waiting to get them involved in the senior center here now. But used to go to the house after they left.
Right.
He liked to have them out of the house and then to go and do inventory and check
Shopping,
to see what was needed from the grocery store and what needed to be cleaned up. So he would do all of that stuff while my parents were out of the house.
Right.
With me, they're there all the time.
So I think this move of getting them to the senior center, that's going to be some help. You know, if they get away and not be.
Well, except this place is only from 9 to 12. It's not a full day.
Oh.
So they have to be ready. So it means getting them up and out of the house, getting them up and ready to go at 7:45 for transportation, and then them going to the senior center. But around 12 o'clock, they'll be headed back home. So that still does give some time. Like they'll have lunch at the senior center, so I don't have to worry about prepping their lunch. But it brings another set of challenges. Like we said, just being flexible. So going to the senior center is great, but it means everything that we do with my parents takes longer than we're accustomed to. So Robert and I, me more so than him, because he's still slow too. But I'm just used to just moving, just jumping up, getting things done. That plan never works with my parents. Whatever time I think that I've allowed for them to move slowly and to ask questions and to not know what the next step is and all of that, it just takes so much longer. So honestly, as much as I want them to go to the senior center, it again presents another set of challenges because we have to make sure that they get up on time. We have to make sure that they bathe. We have to make sure that they get dressed and that they don't look crazy. Sometimes my mother will put on something that she's already worn like the day prior. Sometimes they may put on clothes that are dirty and we have to send them back. Sometimes we have to go and pick out the clothes. It also means that they have to have medication and breakfast and all of this by 7:45 a.m. for transportation to pick them up. So we know mornings are just tough with them, right? Yeah. Like today, my mother didn't check her blood sugar, take any of her medication because
didn't have a thought to do so.
We went to church. And she's typically good about it. I normally during the week have an alarm set that goes off to remind me to check behind her if I haven't actually been down there with her to administer her medicine or to oversee it, because I still like her to actually do it herself. But if I haven't, I have an alarm set. So by 8:30, she should have her medication. That alarm goes off at 8:30, and that tells me go downstairs and check to make sure that mom took her insulin, not her insulin, that she took her blood sugar and that she took her medication. But for some reason, I don't know if I don't have it set on Sundays or what. Today was just a change in routine because we hadn't gone to church in a couple of weeks. So it was getting up and going to church. We weren't sure what church we were going to, so we didn't know what time we had to be ready. So there was not a lot of planning that took place in advance. And so basically she didn't take her medication. So those are the risks that we run, doing things in the morning with the time frame. So again, if we can get on a routine.
Well, we're kind of good with your dad because your dad, he wants to stay in the routine. He's somewhat, he can stick to the routine.
Absolutely.
But I think we had a bit of when we got some good news about her not being have to take the insulin, that's where we had to make sure that we kept her and remind her that she still had to take her medicine or her pills, because when she heard that she didn't have to do insulin anymore, it was like, hooray,
Right.
It's like, I guess in her mind, she was thinking she didn't have diabetes anymore, but, she didn't have to do anything at all. But I mean, we had to remind her and ourselves that, okay, to remind her to let her know, look, okay, you still taking medicine. You still have to
Right.
take the medicine. You still have diabetes, but you just don't have to do the insulin.
Right.
And that went on for about, what? I don't know, about a week or so, maybe,
Yeah.
to
Right.
remind her. So,
And for those of you who don't know, if you haven't seen it already, during our premiere on October 22nd, one of the things that we talked about was the fact, one of the pros, one of the joys of caregiving. So in the first 5 weeks of my parents living with us, we had some amazing outcomes that just really just brought joy to my heart, brought joy to my husband's heart, and my parents. And that was the fact that with just coaching from me, with me helping with meal prep, with nutrition, with medication adherence, as well as exercise, I was able to help my mother to lose 10 pounds, a little over 10 pounds, but not only that, but she has been diabetic since 2009. So for the past 10 years, she has had diabetes, but because we made tweaks to her not her medication, because we made tweaks to her nutrition, because we started having her become more active, she went to the doctors and we were told that she no longer had to take her insulin anymore. Now that is a praise report. That's the kind of stuff that just gives me joy, that gives me peace. That's the kind of stuff that helps me when I'm questioning my life, when I'm trying to figure out what in the world am I doing? Why did I quit my job? I'm stuck in this place now. How am I going to survive? How long can I continue to do this?
But then
when
God
I
shows
get,
up.
yes, reports like that, when I get reports like that, and here's how it happened. I'm just going to do a quick recap because that's just such a blessing, and you might not have seen the video where we talked about it. But basically, we relocated to Georgia, had to get all new primary care physicians and specialists and all of that. And 1 week before my mother was supposed to see her new PCP, she ran out of insulin needles. And so I said, you know what? Your blood sugar has been running pretty low. I suspect that your new doctor is going to lower your insulin dosage anyway. So let's just monitor it. Let's just see how we go. So we went a week without her taking any insulin at all. And when I tell you that her blood sugar was amazing, I mean, it was incredible. The doctors had told us to keep her blood sugar under 150. Her blood sugar was ranging anywhere from 70 to maybe at the most 140. And averaging around about somewhere around like 110 for a whole week. So when we got to the primary care doctor's office and we told her, gave the medical history and all of that, and I said, well, we ran out of needles and I knew we were coming to see you, and so I just monitored her for the past week and I wrote down all of the insulin levels, the blood glucose levels, and I read it out to the doctor and I said, so I don't know if you want to lower it, if you want to put her back on insulin, and she said, absolutely not. If you have been managing her diabetes with just nutrition and exercise, keep on doing what you're doing. Now that, on my darkest day, that on the days when I want to sit in my room and cry, or not want to, when I do sit in my room and cry because I'm just overwhelmed, because I'm crushed watching my parents deteriorate right before my eyes and grow older and all of those things. Hearing something like that, when I think about the sacrifice, the income, the independence, the freedom, the privacy that I've given up in order to bring my parents into my home, to live with them and to care for them, the challenges that I've just had, maintaining my marriage with the stress of caregiving, to hear that report that my mother no longer has to stab herself in her stomach twice a day with insulin because of changes that I helped bring about, because of how God positioned me. And it's no coincidence. I mean, I have a healthcare background. I'm not a medical doctor, right? I'm not a medical doctor, but I work in marketing and communications, and the majority of my career I've worked in healthcare marketing and communications. So the majority of my career I've written educational materials and brochures and website copy and such on diabetes and hypertension and other neurodegenerative diseases, chronic conditions, and all of that. And so I have a pulse on health. And the Bible says all things work together for good for them that love the Lord and are the called according to his purpose. So God has used my career in health, my career in working with or creating materials and information materials and marketing materials for people with chronic conditions, as well as people with neurodegenerative diseases, to help me to be able to serve my mother. And it's just amazing. So I'm just blown away by that. I'm just so excited about that testimony. And now it's, let's keep you off of insulin. Let's keep you off of insulin. So when she gets mad at me, she fusses, it's hard. You're trying to, I sometimes put the hashtag parenting the parent, because that's what we're doing. That's what it feels like I'm doing. I'm laying down the law. I'm putting my foot down. I'm telling my parents yes and no, and you can do this and you can't do that. And it feels bad at times. I don't want to be that person, but that's the position that I'm in. So when I have to tell my mother, no, you can't have ice cream, no, you can't have cake, no, you can't do this, and she pouts like a little brat, she pouts like a kid, she has little tantrums. One day, remember a couple of weeks ago, she had a hunger strike because she wanted pizza, and I said no pizza, so she made my dad a sandwich.
Really?
She didn't eat lunch that day. She
Because
said
she wanted pizza?
She wanted pizza, and I said no. And so she made lunch for my dad, and one of the girls said, are you going to make a sandwich for you? And she was like, no, if I can't eat what I want, then I'm not eating. And so she didn't eat. And I said, you know what? Point being, so when she does all that kind of stuff, now I can say, do you want to go back on insulin? You're managing your blood sugar, you're exercising, you're eating right. We want to keep it that way. What do you want? You choose. And now she's making those better choices. So that's the blessing of what we have been doing. That's what gives me hope. That's what encourages me and encourages my husband. But we have to, this spot that we're in now is a little coffee shop that's near our house, and we visited this when we first got here and said, this is probably going to be one of our spots when we just need to get away. Everything is not spending a whole bunch of money at an extravagant restaurant and dinner. Everything is not vacation and islands. Sometimes it's just, I need a break. I need a change of pace. I need a change of scenery. I just need some one-on-one time with you. So I talked a lot. You have anything else? What's the encouragement? Let's leave everybody with 3 tips in case there are any caregivers that are watching. They're like, okay, you just named every problem that I have, every challenge that I have, and you just left me hanging with no solution. Do we have any solutions, any tips to offer?
I would say, well, first, keep God first and know that this is where He has you in this space right now.
So it's ministry.
Right.
Service.
Yes. So keep Him first and know that what you're doing is honorable to Him.
Yes.
So you have to
Jesus.
really, really remember where you are, especially in those times you get where you just don't feel like you can take it anymore. Give yourself some space. Find some time, some place to go, or whatever. Or even look at a video. Talk to somebody or talk to us, or any words of encouragement we can give you guys to tell you, let you know we're going down the same road, or we're having these challenges too. So, hey, do what you have to do to remain, I guess, calm through that situation, because it's not really a storm. It's just something that you're doing for God to help your parents out, because we don't really know all the sacrifices they've made. You know what I mean? But in this day and age, a lot of seniors don't get that, I guess you would say, that attention that they need when they go to certain facilities. So just, be strong.
Be strong and courageous, Joshua.
Yes, be very
He's getting
courageous.
biblical, y'all.
You have to be very courageous and know that this is what God has for you to do right now. And stay strong in it, please. And don't give up. Don't give up, because you'll be all right. You'll be all right. As long as you keep God first, you'll be all right. Definitely, you'll be all right. That's 1 or 2.
Or 3 or 4.
But
I don't know. I think I may listen to the video and pull out some of the points for Facebook, so that people have a quick snapshot of some of the advice that we're sharing. So that's what was on our heart for today. Thank you so much for all of your support. Again, we really just want to give an authentic look at caregiving. We want to share sometimes in the moment how we're feeling. I feel better. I mean, I really just praise God for God reminding me that in the same way that you take a vacation day from work and then you go back the next day, but you still take your lunch break and your 2 15-minute breaks, that I'm entitled to, and I should not feel bad about wanting to take a break. My parents can be so draining. at times. So draining. And it's not their fault. Like, they're not doing it on purpose. Like, my dad asks what time it is every 5 minutes until it's time for him to take his medication. And then once he takes his medicine and he waits a half an hour and he eats, he goes back into that cycle of asking what time it is every 5 minutes. And it drives my mother crazy. It drives me crazy. It drives my husband crazy. And that's just one thing. My dad is the protector. So he goes around the house and secures the house every day, all day long. When we leave the house, he won't leave the house until he's sure that the door is shut and that the door is locked. He wants to check behind us. So I know his heart is in the right place, but we're like, Dad, we're late for church. Get in the car. What are you doing? And he's standing at the door making sure that it's locked. So it's draining. But I preached a message a couple of months ago that just blessed me. God's grace is sufficient. Yes. God's grace is sufficient. So God will grace us for the task as we keep him first, seek him, and like my husband was preaching, be strong and courageous. This is Felicia Phillips and Robert Phillips, my partner in caregiving from Hanging with the Elderlies. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you will subscribe to the channel, share this video with any caregivers that you know, anybody that just needs to be encouraged. You may be a caregiver of your parents, and maybe your spouse, and maybe a child with autism or special needs, whatever the case may be. Encourage them to subscribe to our page and like our page on Facebook at Hanging with the Elderlies. Thank you. God bless.